when we're decluttering, we will feel stuck, we will feel heavy, even before we begin to declutter. And so, why do systems like lymph and fascia and oxygen matter so much when someone is feeling this way?
It's such a great question because it's why our work is so intertwined, right? The house that we live in, outside of the physical house that you live in, is your actual body. That's the vessel, your house. And the majority of that house by material is your fascia and your lymph. But I can almost guarantee you that most people listening to this do not know what the lymphatic system is, or maybe they've heard the word, maybe, or the fascia, what that really is. And it's like not knowing what two by fours are, and yet you have a house. Like it's what you're made up of. And I find that the lymphatic system is the most underrated, misunderstood, and yet the largest part of your body. So it's the fascia is the fabric that actually holds our shape and puts it all together. So that's kind of like the structure of your house, and and the lymph is like the floors and the walls and the ceilings. It's the majority of your house, right? And people want to attend to the furniture, which for me is the blood work. And I'm like, yeah, but the furniture changes dependent upon your house. If your house is dirty and dusty, the furniture is going to be dirty and dusty. And so looking at the fascia and lymphatic systems, listen, I'm a scientist and I love math. I wouldn't call myself a mathematician. However, I understand probability. I know you know math way better than I do. However, probability I get, right? And if I have a chance to work in a system that makes an impact on 10% versus work on a system that makes an impact on 90% of the system, which one makes more sense?
It's so clear, yet, so few people know about this. And not just people like me, layman people like me, but so few practitioners
Yeah,
get curious.
doctors do not get lymphatic training. I mean, plastic surgeons do, and physical therapists get a little training more than traditional, like any body worker. A massage therapist, if they want to be a lymphatic specialist, has to do special training, which I've done for 20 years now and had a clinical practice for 20 years applying these techniques because I recognized that this was the system that was going to be able to impact the majority of it. And as we've applied that, and as we continue to apply it with people like yourself and so many others, it's not that I'm a healer. I facilitate healing, right? And I facilitate the ability of the body to heal, and that's in the fascia and the lymphatic system. A lot of people now are talking about the nervous system, which is great. How do we see that in the nervous system when the fascia and the lymph is clogged? Well, it's those symptoms of feeling stuck and heavy and sluggish. Just like your house feels and looks sluggish when it's cluttered, your body looks and feels sluggish when it's cluttered. And what gets cluttered is the spaces between the cells, and that's the lymphatic system. And what gets cluttered is what I call your closets, which is your fascia, which is like your adhesions, your scars, and the tissue, like the soft tissue that wraps around all your joints and all your bones and suspends and hangs your organs. And then your bones float in this fluid, this culture known as your lymphatics, wrapped around by your fascia, and then the skin lays over it. And so when we look at the function of the organs like the liver and the kidneys, and that's all dependent upon the culture that it lives in. So again, we work on the 90% that's going to affect then the 10%, which is the organs and the cells, to then create and manifest wellness and space and healing, or it's going to create chaos because there's so much stuff in the spaces around the cells. And so it's missignaling the cells, and therefore the cells and the organs don't function appropriately because they're not getting the right information. It would just be like walking into your house and being like, oh, I'm looking for my water bottle. But you have 19 water bottles in a room. How are you going to find the one you need? Right. And so it's easy if everything's cleared out. You go, oh, yeah, there's my water bottle. I got it. So it's just the same thing with your lymphatics, and your lymphatics are in charge of fluid. So if you have puffiness or swelling or heaviness, that's excess fluid typically. And oftentimes when people work with us, they generate a lot of urine and a lot of bowel and a lot of excretion, letting go of all that excess stuff. And then the oxygen element that you brought up is so key because that internal skin called the mucosa which is in our sinuses, our lungs, and our gut, is that very thin, almost like what's the word I'm looking for? Film, this very fine film that is your defense shield from what goes inside when you breathe it in or when you eat it. And then it's got to filter through. And that mucosa is all part of your lymphatic as well.
Okay. Okay.
That was a
It's
lot.
a lot, right? It's a lot, and there's so much here to unpack. And so, I think a lot of us, when listening to what you just said, a lot of us understand what scars are, right? We trip and we've got a scar, or we have a C-section and we have a scar. But frankly, a lot of the clutter in our on the inside can actually also be seen under a microscope. I saw my own clutter, right, under the microscope with you when I worked with you. So can you explain that, like what you're seeing, and then why is it there? Like how have we become so cluttered on the inside? What are some of those main drivers?
And you brought up the scars. So there's two blockades to us healing. Let's start there. And scars are one of them. So the body is its default program, if you will, is to heal. I mean, I want everybody to, I know I gave you a lot of download of information in the first 5 minutes. Let's all take a breath together right now, right? Let's just do that. Take a breath in through your nose and go ahead and exhale. Do you know that that's a technology you just applied? And that the technology that our body is, that this vessel we talked about, this house, everything in a pharmaceutical lab and everything in Silicon Valley, they're trying to copy this or something in nature because it is a lot. It's a system of organization, of complexity, yet when you do simple things, it performs for you. And this is about your performance in your life. This is about how to get through life, no matter what condition you find yourself in, with ease and grace, because that's expansion, that's evolution, that's not shutting down, that's going through, right? And the lymphatic system is the gateway to that healing system because the default in nature, the default in our body is to heal. The system of healing, so a lot of people, and I know Heather's one of them, has had to lean on allopathic medicine at times. And it's a great system when you need it. Problem is, it's a system most people are trapped in that they don't know that they're trapped in it. They're dependent upon it. And that is the goal of that system. That's exactly what they wanted. When Rockefeller started the AMA and started that whole situation with the pharmaceuticals, and if you don't know about the Feldman Report and all that stuff, look it up because this is how they've controlled to get employees and people hooked on medications so that you have no freedom. And
It's a
I'm
massive
here as,
business. Agree.
yeah, it's a business. And yet, when I broke my back, they told me, oh, one day I'd need herringbone surgery. I was 2 inches shorter in height this was all from a car accident, and to manage my pain for the rest of my life in Vicodin and Flexerol and go to support groups and go to neurologists and orthopedic specialists and pain specialists. And I did that. But in the 90s, I was fortunate enough to be in Ithaca, New York. So I also went to acupuncturists and massage therapists and hypnotherapists and Reiki specialists because they've been so far advanced for so long up in that area in Ithaca, New York. And so I was blessed to have this experience that was outside of conventional medicine, first with massage, then with some energy healer in 96. And essentially, that energy healer became my husband. And now, we have a 12-year-old and a 20-year clinical practice because, not because he just heals me, but because when I had this facilitation, when he created a spontaneous healing, what I say he facilitated a spontaneous healing, he literally had the answer of, "Oh, it's energy. That's how the body works." Like, he's a martial artist. He had been a combat ranger medic. He had worked with an acupuncturist for years. He understood energy from a different perspective, and he was, like, so satisfied. And here I was with a 4-year degree from biology from Cornell University, and I was like, "What are you talking about? What is energy?" I'm so confused, but I can tell you I have a different experience, and so I wanna learn it. So as I began to learn and read everything and went to every class and just devoured this, I discovered there was a whole different medicine in Europe called terrain medicine, bioregulatory medicine, where they look at the regulatory systems of the body that actually create the information sent to the manufacturing or the system of the not just the autonomic nervous system that it drives, that's what drives it, but then that sends signal to your central and your peripheral through your spinal cord, and then sends signals out through your spine, through your nerves to your organs, and the organs perform. But regulation determines your physiology. So I know it's a lot, but I'm asking you to reframe today. I'm asking you to look at, just like when you met Heather, to go, whoa, the clutter in my house is the same as the clutter in my mind. Wow, the clutter in my closet is the same in the clutter in my relationships. And how I do one thing is how I do everything. And when your body is giving you symptoms, that is not something to suppress. It's something to investigate and to understand and to unwind, to allow your body to heal. There are two blockades, however, to this system that heals, as I mentioned. And one of them is scars on the physical body. And scars on the physical body creates like a detour. So the communication that's traveling through this network that's sending these signals that are input data that are both received and sent, because it's a biodirectional feedback system. And this organism is working through this world, taking in all this input that we can only be conscious of 10% of it. Otherwise, we'd be overwhelmed. Like, we couldn't get through the day. Oh my God, I can feel the temperature of the dog's temperature is different than my temperature, than the temperature outside, and the light is different.
Yeah, that would be true overwhelm. So I want to cut in for 1 second because
Yes.
so often we will just say, oh, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. And we use it as kind of an umbrella feeling anytime we feel heavy or nervous or anticipate something or a little tension. And so it's not true overwhelm, right? And so you're talking about a true overwhelm if we really did take in absolutely everything that was coming at us at one point. And so yeah, wanted to throw that in
Yeah.
there.
No, it's a really good point, because think about, just like I have a 12-year-old, right? I'm 51, going to be 52 soon. And the first 12 years I grew up, I did not have the inputs that my son has. Like, we spent the summers where we didn't have a phone and a television from March till October, and lived on 200 acres of land outside. I did not have Wi-Fi. I didn't have constant scrolling. I didn't have all these video games. We had Atari, for God's sakes.
So
You
did
know,
we.
Space Invaders. Like, I watch them now and I'm like, oh my God. Like, right? And let alone all the other inputs that we have now, right? It's just input, input, input. The Wi-Fi is a non-physical input your body is having to deal with all the time, that is not a stressor we grew up under. And that is, you're not aware of it, but you sure are annoyed if your computer doesn't work and you can't get a good signal and your phone doesn't work. Don't you realize that your body's also having to ward that off and go, wait, that's not for me. That's not a biorhythm. That's not a bioenergetic. That's not meant for the life force here. And it can confuse it. And it actually slows down the lymphatics.
Oh,
So one of the best things you can do for your lymphatic system today, I can overwhelm you. Yes. Go to my podcast. I'm not here to overwhelm you. I'm here to reframe you and educate you and blossom you and bloom you, to give you freedom, to give you the awareness of what actually is causing the chaos in the body and the overwhelm that is real, that you actually can take control over by unplugging your Wi-Fi at night. As simple as that. Or putting it on a timer and it shuts off at 11 p.m. and it turns back on at 7.
what a gift when we do these types of things, and it's so worth it. A simple timer, something like that. But let's go back. So you said number one, we've got scars, and the scars
Yes.
interrupt.
I was really
And
hopeful she wasn't gonna ask me about the second one, kids. I already know she's a great interviewer, and I was like, "Darn, why did I bring it up? Because I don't really wanna talk about it, but I will for Heather."
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
The second one is dental crap in your mouth. It's those, what you call silver fillings, they're amalgam fillings, are a combination of mercury, which is a neurotoxin, nickel, tin, not good for the body, not bio. A lot of the white fillings are plastic, full of PBAs that we know about microplastics in our environment, and this is leaking into your system, into your lymphatics. Then some people have gold and silver. You don't want to have dissimilar. That causes a constraint. Not having proper airway construction of any kind can cause a constraint, as well as the metal, like the retainers that go behind the teeth a lot. You want those out. A lot of the airway appliances are actually made with plastics, believe it or not, that are not bio aligned. And then you have root canals, and then you have implants, and then you have teeth that have been extracted, like wisdom teeth, that isn't done properly because most dentists, even oral surgeons, aren't real surgeons. They're just going and plucking something out, not creating what we call good margins in oral surgery. And I say we, not because I'm an oral surgeon, but because I've been truly gifted to align with Dr. and Professor Gananti from Germany, who has a program also at Tufts University, who's training real biological dentists to be real surgeons, not just oral surgeons, but real surgeons of the oral cavity, which is a very different experience. And I've been on this journey for 20 years with dental and biological dentists. And I finally don't feel like they're the bane of my existence since Professor Gananti, the one guy, has come into my life, because I had found somebody so heart-centered as I am, so committed and devoted to the real ability of the body to heal and to be the least invasive and the most aggressive and conservative at the same time, to allow the body to heal as a true surgeon does instead of a mechanic of the mouth.
So I want to recap for a moment. So all of these
Yeah,
types
that was a lot.
tools, well, when we're talking about the mouth and the amalgams and so forth, these are tools that your dentist will share and push and promote and so forth. And the reason why you're bringing this up is because they cause a lot of clutter inside the body. They can do a lot of damage, in other words, and disrupt your natural energy so that you don't feel the way you feel, much worse than you naturally would. And so
It's
there
a constant leak in your mouth of clutter. It's like a lot of people are hoarding in their mouth and they don't know it because it's something that's not talked about a lot. And it's literally seeping in all the time. And everybody's trying to clean up their diet and they're turning off the Wi-Fi and they're doing all these things. And yet they've got this huge toxic source right inside their mouth that's seeping into their system every single minute. And that I can say things that dentists can't say because I'm not a dentist, because what I say would get most dentist licenses pulled, which is that the majority of dentists are doing more damage to you than they are helping you.
I agree with you 100%. And yes, this is leaking or seeping into our body, and it's not just, oh well, it's not a big deal. These types of things lead to breast cancer, and right, these things lead to some pretty major health events, correct?
Chronic issues 100% because it's a chronic seep. And so when you have chronic inflammation, it can cause anything. One of the biological adages that I was taught long ago and that I continue to teach and pay forward, which is anything can cause anything. Isn't that great? Anything can, but here's the thing, it's never one thing that causes one thing. It's always multi-causational. And here's the last thing. Dose makes the poison. If I give you a little bit of arsenic once, no problem. If I give you a little arsenic every single day, you're going to die. When you have a neurotoxin dripping into your tissue every single day for 20 years and you go, but it's never bothered me. But then why do you have gut issues? Why do you have headaches? Why do you have constipation? Why do you have heaviness in the legs? Why do you have heaviness in the arms? Why do you have puffiness? Because your body is trying to protect you from the neurotoxin and it's holding on the fat. It's storing it in fat. That's why you have parasites, because parasites are holding on to the metals and they're doing you a service actually. They're taking a lot from you while they're doing it, but they're performing a service for you because it's an ecosystem. And this ecosystem has a drive to heal and survive for as long as possible in whatever condition you put it in. The more conscious you can be of the condition, the better the quality becomes. Just like you've noticed by working with Heather and starting to clean up your condition of your home. Doesn't it feel different and lighter to walk into a home that has more space, more visual space, more breath for you in your closet as you clean out the clothes that you haven't worn in 2 years anyway, and you made that phone call to your person that you've avoided and didn't feel better? Because the thing that I've learned in 20 years, 28 years of studying this science is you cannot avoid a thing. Your clutter is gonna come get you, and it's gonna show up as disease and illness. It's gonna store it in your fascia and your tissues, and it's gonna show up as some kind of disease, some kind of pain, and you're not gonna understand it. And then pharmaceutical companies are excited because they can then keep you in that realm and go, "Oh, take this drug. Oh, you have side effects from that. Take this drug. Oh, don't worry, we can do this surgery. Don't worry, take this other drug." And they've got their trillion-dollar system that you can't get out of, but you
And
can.
in my opinion, those drugs may maintain, but they don't fix, they don't heal.
It's not curative. It's suppressive.
Exactly. So, all right, Kelly, I want to pivot for a moment. I came to your office. We worked together. I did an intensive with you for close to a week, and it was a phenomenal, a life-changing experience for me. And one of the things you did was you took my blood in the beginning and you looked at it under a
Oh, yeah,
microscope,
thanks. I forgot to bring that up. Thank you for bringing me back there.
and you looked at it again at the end of the week. And what a difference. What a difference in the two in the two experiences. And so in the beginning of the week, we we saw a lot of clutter. We saw a lot of stagnation. We didn't see much energy. We didn't see much spark. Can you talk about that? Can you explain that? And then describe what we saw at the end of the week after really working on my fascia, really working on my lymph. What did that look like?
So, as an investigator of biology, one of the things I do is prick fingers and look at blood under a microscope, a dark field microscope. So, I'm actually blocking the majority of the light. So, I'm not just looking at the red blood cells, I'm actually looking at the spaces between the cells. So this specific scope allows light to come in at an angle, which allows you to see it and then use immersion oil. It's this whole thing. But it's a different type of microscope than most people are looking at. And I don't have to send blood out to a lab to see what's going on. I can assess your live blood now, and it tells me what the environment is that the cells are living in. And there's a lot of things you can see, and there's a lot of schools of thought. I've been trained in Switzerland and Germany on this. And what we know is when you look at live blood, it's not a diagnostic, it's an assessment of the internal terrain. And then it gives you some guidance as to what the system needs to alleviate, because we need to be subtractors, not additioners, right, Heather? Get rid of
Yes,
stuff, not add stuff in. And
I love that.
as we subtract things more than likely from our life rather than add on, we see what's in the blood that's to excess, right? And as we change the terrain, as we change the environment, then the physiology changes. As I said earlier, as you change the regulation, it determines your physiology, right? So what I do is I prick the finger. What am I looking at? I'm looking at the red blood cells still. I'm still looking at the quality of them. And as she said, the vibe behind them, or you might not have used that word, I'll use that word, but the vibe or the like actual pulsation that you actually see the energy of the pulse of the blood, red blood cell, and outside of that cell is your fat layer called your phospholipid layer. And it's one of the reasons I love Body Bio PC Liquid so very much, because it's the most bioavailable. Like literally, there you go. There's their little commercial. But it's what I see by looking at blood for 20 years. So many people are deficient in the phospholipid layer, particularly if they've had any kind of toxicity, if they lived on planet Earth. So they this phospholipid layer is trashed unless you're doing things to replenish it. And then the spaces, so you're looking at red blood cells. I'm also looking at your white blood cells. How active are they? How many are there? What is their shape? And that has a lot to do, obviously, with your lymph. If you know anything about lymph, it's part of your immune system. I would actually contend it is your immune system. And then the last thing I'm looking at, and the most important thing I'm looking at, is that spaces between the cells. What's in it? Is there excess acid? Are the red blood cells sticky? Are they rouleauing? Are they sticking together like little Rolo candies when I was a kid? But it's called rouleau. It's kind of funny. Are the white blood cells broken up and shattered? Are there not enough of them? Are there cell wall deficient bacteria in the background, which is a side effect, if you will, of taking and eating and being exposed to antibiotics. And I believe there's other ways that we create this cell wall deficient bacteria as well. That's just the one known through microbiology. And in this space, in this culture, essentially, I'm looking at the culture, the terrain that your blood cells are living in, live in your body. And it should stay moving and showing how it's acting for about 10 to 12 hours without degrading too much. And blood will change when we do our work. So, I mean, everything we do, I've tested before and afters. And so we only do the things at work that make an impact on your terrain, on your heart rate variability, on your regulation so that your physiology will shift. So it's not that it will change because Kelly Kennedy knows that. The question becomes, how long do you hold the change for? So the reason we do it at the end of the week is to know, okay, we know we can make a change, but now let's see what it looks like on Friday morning when you've been getting treated all week. And now we've got a better, okay, if it like you went from 1 to 10, well, it'll probably hold at about a 7. Given Heather, it'll probably hold at about a 9. Unless, Heather leaves my office and, gets on a bike and breaks her leg, then perhaps maybe she might go back to a 6 and have to work back up to a 9 again. But she at least knows how to do it, right? And I give her listen, Heather is way more than a colleague for me, way more than a client that I've been honored to be on my table. And the reason that we became friends wasn't just those 2 things, but this tender-hearted soul that was willing to do uncomfortable things, and healing is not what people think, and it doesn't look like you think it's gonna look like, and it doesn't feel like you think it's gonna feel like, and it takes a lot of trust, and it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable. And she gave that to me like a sister would, with complete abandonment of scarcity, of fear. And it was one of the best weeks of my life because I truly love what I do. I would do this if I won the lottery tomorrow. I would still give what I give and I would still do what I do because it is my mission. And my mission in this world is to facilitate you until you can facilitate yourself, because this is about freedom. This isn't about being hooked on some drug and this for the rest of my life, or I have this genetic problem. My father had Hodgkin's and I didn't want to live down that path. So that's why I looked for a different path. And that path set me to this car accident, almost dying while I was at Cornell, which sent me down the journey to find a spontaneous healing, which sent me down a journey to find out can I do this to everybody? Is this just me, or does everybody have this capacity? Whoa, there's a science behind this. Oh my gosh, we can look at it in microscopes. We can see that it's blocked by these 2 things, dental and scars. And oh my gosh, the lymph and the fascia is the biggest impact we can make on the system so that it can heal and it can do its job. And the innate intelligence of us having this physical experience can actually have more fun. Heather, when was the last time you were on a bike prior to coming to our office, our center?
I was sick for a long time, and I went and saw a lot of doctors, and I took a lot of pills, and I took a lot of supplements, and I got a little bit better, but I was not really getting better. And I tried so many different things. I definitely feel failed by the conventional allopathic system. And also, I saw some functional medicine doctors that were so myopic that they did not see the bigger picture. And I was never asked about or just there was no curiosity around lymph and fascia and some more of the emotional drivers of sickness. And I love that you asked me about the bike because I I love to move my body. And I used to race. I used to race mountain biking here in Colorado. I've done triathlons, I've done half Ironman. And for years I did nothing. Nothing. Because I could not breathe, did not feel well. And I got on your table, and I want to talk about what that was like for me in just a moment. But after I got off your table, I got on my bike and I went on a bike ride, and the wind, just the wind on your face, there's not a better feeling for me. And I got on the bike a couple times. I was feeling better and better. And then I was on a family ride and I accidentally got T-boned by another bicyclist, and I flew off my bike landed on my hip and my hand and broke broke bones in my hand and broke my hip. And so, but here's the thing, I don't regret that bike ride at all because actually it was I the experience of breaking the hip and how close it brought me to my family and to friends that I had not seen in a while was so rich and so beautiful. And I didn't know that I'd been yearning so much for that. So the universe knew exactly what I needed. Like, no, Heather, hold on, let's slow down a little. Let's slow down a little. I want to go back to my experience on your table. And um, one experience in particular, all of the experiences really stretched me to limits I did not know I had, like past limits. And it was a very emotive experience, very rich experience. But the one that I'm thinking of, I think was on day three. Yeah, day three of four, I believe.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about because it was yeah.
Yeah, because it'll make you cry. It makes me cry, right? Just thinking
Yeah,
about this
yeah,
experience.
it was in
So I want to just kind of paint the picture a little. So I'm on the bed. It's comfortable, a massage type bed, and there is intentional music. And I want you to talk about Sound of Soul later or in a moment. And Kelly is moving my fascia, really moving my fascia. I tried things like cupping before with acupuncturists or massage therapists, and I always loved those experiences. But this is like times 1,000, right? Like just in terms of really moving the fascia. And you're talking, you're explaining, you're expressing, and you are inviting me to join you and to express and to move my energy, to move that energy, to move the stagnancy that has been in my body probably since the age of 7. At the end of the session, I was curled up as if you know, were in utero, curled up like that. It was the first time in my life that I have truly felt like I was in my body. So often practitioners will say, "Oh, Heather, you're out of your head. You're out of your head. Get down into your body." Well, how the heck do you do that? I did not know what that felt like. I had this experience with you where it may sound silly to some, but it was so rich and personal and meaningful to me. I was visualizing being on my mountain bike, something I had not been able to do for years and years, something that I loved so much. And not only was I on the mountain bike riding, I was the trail, I was the bicycle, I was so complete. And so not only was this going on, this picture inside of me and feeling this, but I was also vocalizing it with no embarrassment, like vocalizing with abandon, like I was vocalizing. And I moved that energy. I afterwards, I was euphoric. All those happy chemicals and hormones. I felt like I was going to float away, float off the table, float into the next room. And that stayed with me. And so that is a gift. Um, I, I know my body in a different way, in a more personal way, in a more compassionate way now today because of the work that I've done with you. And this work has changed me. And again, Kelly, our work, it's so compatible because you helped me identify and see and release the clutter in my body. I help people identify and see and release the clutter in their homes. And where we overlap is the emotional clutter. And we all feel the emotional clutter. And in your work, you can actually you can see what that emotional clutter does to the lymph system. And you can feel and see what that emotional clutter does to the fascia. So before seeing you, my ribs slipped 9 times over a year and a half. And I was also coughing so much because these are a lot of toxic mold symptoms that I was having. And since I've worked with you, my ribs have not slipped once. That's all in the past now because I understand you can't have a home without a foundation. It's just going to collapse on you. And so I now understand and respect how important it is to be curious about our fascia and our lymph, to ask our practitioners, what do you know about fascia and lymph? And if they don't know anything, and they're probably not going to find people that can help you, because you will be able to feel better than you've ever felt, maybe than you ever remember feeling, and maybe than you've ever actually felt in your life.
Body workers are the missing piece in our wellness category, and not all body workers are created equal. And as I said, they need special training, and there are a lot of great trained practitioners out there. So before we get the emails, let's just start with saying go to Medela Health and you can look up where you can get a Flow Prezzo session. That is the most beneficial FDA approved for your lymphatic. It also works your fascia, I can say. And it is a parasympathetic dream. It's a hug throughout your body. Heather did one every single day while she was at the center. I do one every single day in my home. But they're for practitioners only. So there's about 500 of them now in the country, and they are worldwide as well. So you can find them in every country just about. The next thing would be for fascia work. So lymph work, just focus on the Flow Prezzo. Unless you want to send me an email, I might be able to find you a practitioner that does the work that I do, or that Desiree Despong does, that does lymphatic node release. But I'm going to teach you how to do that. We're going to give you guys a little link where you can learn how to start pumping your own lymph. And lymph isn't something you do for a season. You know, this is what you do for the rest of your life. You don't brush your teeth just because you just are in the middle of a health crisis, right? You learned that brushing your teeth actually is, that's the revelation I'm bringing in, right? When people didn't know to brush their teeth, that's where we're at right now for the lymphatics. And I am not needing my ego to be felt, but I know I'll be a household name because Kelly Freedom Kennedy is here to bring people into the freedom of healthcare, to recognize that self-care is your new healthcare. And so when you go to my website and when we give you links to learn how to pump your lymph nodes and open up your lymph fluid and get your scars treated at home, then you go to practitioners to up level you. But you got to do this at home. This isn't just about walking to somebody's office. There is not enough time, money, or energy for you to get healed on somebody's table. I facilitated Heather so that, listen, if she had broken that leg before she met me, I can guarantee you it would not have been the same experience as it was after. I mean, I was dancing with her less than 4 months later.
It's true.
It's
It's true.
really
It's true.
and a testament to her commitment, because for me, healing is a formula and you just apply and then you get the results. It's not a guess, it's a formula. And everybody gets the same formula, and the more you get precise about your formula, the better result you get. It's really simple. So the second thing is for fascia, go to John Barnes, Myofascia, go to his website. I'm training him, as are many others. He's been training people for freaking, I don't know, 30, 40 years now. And you want somebody that's at least a level 2. I'm only a level 1. So if they're a level 1, talk to them and see what they've got going on, because
Hold on
I'm
a
a level
second.
1 in a lot
Hold
of
on.
things.
The word only. Kelly is phenomenal at what she does.
Well, I mean,
I I don't
certified
care if
by
you're
John
a level
Barnes's
1 or a level.
foundation.
I'm still saying I'm still, yes, we can always keep learning and growing. And did you all hear a little bit of mind clutter, the only? I mean, let
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
Well,
are fun.
I say that because I will honestly say there is not another practitioner you're ever going to have like me. I know this to be true. I have gone to the ends of the earth to learn what I learn. I bring it all together, and I've tried to train practitioners to do what I do. And I think I've been successful 2 times in 20 years to teach somebody 5% of what I know, because it's a lot. So I don't need to be a level 2 certified by anybody else, because I go learn their stuff and I'm like, got it. Thanks so much. And I add it to what I do. Always I'm teachable. What I'm saying is that not everybody needs to be fully certified, but you'll be better off served if you go to a level 2 more than likely, because they're doing this every day.
Love it. I love it. All right. Kelly, I want people to know where to find you. Before we do that, though, will you take us through just a few lymph movements, or a few ways to move the lymph, where you like to start and why you like to start where you start? And for those watching this on YouTube, you can follow along. For those listening on the podcast, you can also follow along as Kelly describes what she's doing.
So you always have this tool in your body, which is your hands. And I have even taught paraplegics to do this because even if they can't use their hands, because you can hum and you can do what we call horse lips. So, everybody together, take a breath in and exhale out doing horse lips. Good job. You just started moving your lymph because what that's doing is generating a vibration here above the clavicle. Above the clavicle. So we didn't go into the lymph anatomy, but there's a lot of lymph anatomy that you can learn quickly from my website. But essentially, you want to stimulate the nodes above the clavicle, and you do that simply by pumping and releasing them. So you take your ring finger and your middle finger, just like you're pressing in avocados or peaches to find the ripeness. You're not squeezing it, you're not pinching it. You're just pumping and releasing above the clavicle in a circular way, 3 or 4 pumps. Then you go up to your tonsil area outside your under your jaw, below your ear, and just pump again in the direction toward that area you just opened up. And as you do that, just 3 or 4 pumps, just feel what feels different. I mean, instantly you're like, that's crazy. Yeah, it's your internal fluid. 20% of your lymph is in your neck. 50% is in your gut. And as you move this, it's going to start to mobilize your urine, your bowels. You're going to blow your nose more. You're going to cough more, perhaps, because you're going to move out the clutter. So so there's a top 10 sequence that through the link that below that we'll add for the show notes for your manual lymph drainage. Do the sequence a couple times a day. And then when you're ready to go deeper, because you're like, okay, I'm brushing my teeth. Now I want to go get my teeth cleaned. But you don't need to go to professional yet to get your teeth cleaned. Join my 21-day lymphatic system breakthrough. You can either do it, with a one-on-one consult, or you can do it through a group. We launch it a couple times a year, and I know Heather has gone through this and is an affiliate for this. And you will learn how week 1 is lymph and breath, week 2 is lymph and movement, week 3 is that lymph and emotion, to how to really get through those Pandora box emotions that often show up as you unclutter your body and then have to deal with the emotions you've been trying to avoid, and they're unavoidable. So then we need the skill set to how to go through them. And listen, I live a very compliant life in the sense that I lived this way for 28 years. Heather stayed in my home. We drink high quality water. We eat high quality food. We don't have smelly shit in our house. I wear cotton clothes. Like, I really live this way. And it's very simple. It's very simple to be healthy, actually. That doesn't mean I don't have stress. That doesn't mean I don't have pressures on me. That doesn't mean that I don't have like, if I explain, right before this, I explained to Heather my last 30 days, her result was, oh my God. And all I can say is that it's due to my
Yes.
capacity that
Yes.
God keeps giving me this. And I keep rising to the challenge and going, okay, I got this, I got this, I got this. And I'm not taking it on my body. I'm allowing it to move through me, because that's what I'm here for, is to experience the most amount of life I can until I stop experiencing life, when I stop breathing. Because breath, as we will tell you, is the most important thing, isn't it, Heather?
It is. I
And
mean,
breath creates the space. So as you mobilize your lymph, not just there, go to the lymphatic system breakthrough and do that 21-day practice. Then go start to find yourself a practitioner. You've got this yourself. You don't need to go outside of you. That is my whole point. Everything you need is inside you. And I am here to teach you everything you need so that you can calm down your brain to go, wait, I don't know if I trust her. I'll teach you. I got you. I don't care if you're a anesthesiologist. I've taught them too. And I've taught them how, which for me is the top of the food chain for doctors, honestly. Like, they're wicked smart. And but you've got to know, and surgeons. I teach surgeons as well, and I teach dentists. So I can promise you I can teach you this too. And teach you how to apply this. Because it's not about just the knowledge, it's about the wisdom is applying the knowledge. And this is about applying your lymphatic system to your protocol every day, and watch you free yourself up from needing so much outside of you, knowing you have everything inside of you, and getting more and more expanded into that, so that you are the most free person. I don't know another person as free as I am. I don't care what country I'm in. I don't care who I'm with. I don't care what. I am free to be me 100% of the time, all the time. And that is the gift we all have. But most of us are buried under our clutter of emotional crap that doesn't allow us to expand into who ourselves is, because we're scared. please share your gift. That is your song. That's unique to you. That's special to you. That is what we've been all given to shine out our light. And it might be you clean toilets better than anybody else. That is no less important than being an anesthesiologist, because together we are here to experience life. And some people have a lot of gratitude over those things versus I want to learn this, and other people don't. Like, you are unique. Lean into your uniqueness and shine that light through. That's what we're here for. That's what the Sound of Soul is about. That's what the Sound of Soul is, equipment that allows you to listen to your own heart and create a song, your heart song, through your electrical system by sending it inputs, which are coming from your heart. And I just convert it into music through this technology and light, and you get to experience it and then take home your song. And remember, if you should forget, what you align to is your own self. And that's what heals you. It's all inside you.
Oh, it's all inside you. I just want to say, working with you, Kelly, has allowed me to know myself better and to be able to shine my personal light in a more true way. There's I always felt like there's a little distraction before. So yeah, just being on your table, I felt so complete. I felt so whole. And I didn't realize until that experience how disjointed I had felt prior to that. And so what a gift. And so yes, so Kelly's got a wonderful membership. She, and if you can go do an intensive with her for a few days, talk about it. Just I wish everybody in the world could experience that. I think this world would be so much healthier and kinder and gentler as well. And so Kelly, we'll put all your information below. But just, yeah, what is the website or the place
So
you'd
the
like?
website's probably going to change soon, but it's right now the True Wellness Center, but we're now rebranded to the True Lymphatic Wellness Center. So you can find us at truelymphaticwellnesscenter.com, I'm sure by the time this posts. And then on Instagram, it's True Wellness Global, and on YouTube, it's True Wellness PA. And honestly, if you type in Kelly Kennedy and Lymph Queen into anything, you're going to find me. I'm the Lymph Queen and I'm Kelly Kennedy. It's a pretty easy name to remember. So if you search that, then you'll find all my other things, because everything in life changes. But if you remember Kelly Kennedy, the Lymph Queen, you'll find me.
Final question, Kelly, Miss Lymph Queen, what does the lighter path look like to you personally? So when you hear the words the lighter path,
The lighter path is remembering that one breath at a time and one step at a time is all we really have. And to honor each one that we get, and to be wise with how we make the next step forward, because that's our choice and that's real freedom. And when you don't have all these other things going on, you have the freedom to choose how you move forward. And you're free in your body, and you're not entangled with your old patterns, with things that don't serve you, with your old emotional blocks. And even amongst the most chaotic, darkest spaces you can find yourself in hospitals with family emergencies and offices shutting down and all sorts of stuff going on, you know that you are the light. And this is the path of least resistance to surrender to, because that's all we got.
I love how you brought that back to personal agency. And that was, yeah, beautiful. Kelly, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, so
Thank
beautiful.
you.
All right, y'all. I'll see you in the next one. What a gift, Kelly, you are to humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. So are you.
Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, give us a like and share with friends who could use some lightness. Don't forget to follow our page for daily doses of living lighter. And remember, if it feels light, it's right.